Go.
I think we're miserable partly because we have only one God, and that's economics. This is the battle cry of psychologist James Hillman's critiques on modern society. But Hillman certainly was not the first, nor is he the last to notice such a distortion among contemporary people. The massive evolution of human society in the past 2 centuries has seen values and ideals transformed into prices and market shares. The modern obsession for wealth and monetary value has transformed humankind into counters and figures. The era of secularism has led us to a new religion of wealth, with devoted followers abound. Arthur Miller details the life of one such follower, Willy Loman, in his tragic play Death of a Salesman, as he stresses Willy's worship of distorted values and successful and familiar figures throughout his life. Miller personifies the worship of wealth through Willy Loman's character to ultimately put forward his own critique against the overwhelming priority economic success has over human relationships in modern capitalist society.
Sorry for the interruption. Matt Robertson, please report to room 269. Matt Robertson.
Although the institution of marriage has almost been made into a farce by modern television shows like The Bachelor and Married at First Sight, we have still come a long way from what marriage used to be in the late 40s and early 50s. It is now much more common to have a marriage driven by love, not by society. In Mavis Gallant's excerpt from The Other Parents, Gallant mocks a time when men and women were pressured into marriage by the community, schools, and the unspoken desperation to find a partner before one reached a certain age. Gallant uses a sarcastic and ironic tone to criticize the institution of marriage. Gallant's sarcastic tone criticizes the structure of marriage in the 1950s, which is a mere step off from arranged marriage, due to the fact that many marriages were based off of little other than a single, meaningless common ground and connections between families. Carol, the decidedly hopeless woman in Gallant's excerpt, is idealistic in her views of how her marriage will play out, willing herself to learn how to love the man she marries. She is considerably naive in going about her new life, blaming the weather when her conditions for love were not immediately fulfilled. Juxtaposed with Howard Mitchell, an unromantic man who was deeply moved at the idea of having a wife to care for him in his house, the two seem to be an almost perfect match in ignorance. Gallant describes the sparse ground they share, including a liking for Irish setters and similar economic backgrounds. These borderline laughable reasons for union and the ironic statement, "There was no reason for the engagement or marriage to fail," provide clear evidence that Gallant feels as though the institution of marriage is nothing more than something brought on by societal pressure.